this evening's meeting to order. This is the special budget work session for Tuesday, April 15th, 2025. Could I have a roll call, please?
Councilman Bembas.
Here.
Councilman Carter.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Davey.
Here.
Mayor Gillis.
Here.
Councilwoman Harris.
Here.
Councilwoman Meldrum.
Here.
Councilman Scarlett.
Here. We have a moment of silent prayer. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now is the time for public comment, if anybody would like to speak on the budget tonight.
Or, come do, a little song.
All right, seeing none, we'll move on to new business. The presentation of the proposed 2025-2026 budget by City Manager Gerstenberg. Mrs. Gerstenberg?
Why, thank you very much, Mayor Gillis. Welcome to the 25-26 budget workshop presentation. Okay, so our agenda this evening will be to start with going over the 24-25 departmental achievements, a look at our revenues, personnel, capital projects, our goals for next year, 25-26, a look at the fee schedule, and at the end we'll discuss any proposed changes or any comments you have. Remember that these budget workshops offer the general public and City Council an opportunity to ask questions, comment on, and shape the future with goals and development. So we'll start with the 2024-2025 achievements. We begin with the City Clerk's Department. So this past year, the City Clerk was involved in implementing new voting procedures for the Michigan election law, including collaborating with Clay Township Clerk on new joint early voting site. Started a cost-saving consolidation of voting precincts 1 and 2 per recent changes in Michigan election law, and continued training of the utility billing and deputy clerk in election procedures and various clerk duties, and also organized and promoted electronic record storage for easy retrieval of documents. For the fire department this past year, we purchased 2 ventilation fans from Cascade Fire Equipment, completed the self-contained breathing apparatus annual testing, obtained readings on all our hydrants to update our flow rates, established a new ordinance regarding the use of fire hydrants, and started updating all the radio units to be encryption capable of enhancing safety and privacy. Our Department of Public Works this past year, we purchased a utility vehicle with plow. We completed video inspections of the Algonac Elementary School sanitary sewers. We completed 4 emergency water line repairs, coordinated 4 emergency tree removals, and hosted 2 community cleanup events at DPW. Finance and Treasury entered into IT services agreement with a new vendor, High Tech System Services. We transferred all of our accounts from Huntington Bank to North Star Bank, and our city treasurer completed her first successful solo audit.
Did a fine job,
Water plant was also very busy again this year. We accepted a TMF grant from the state of Michigan for $159,400. We were awarded a contract for SCADA repairs and improvements with UIS SCADA, purchased new waterworks software, mapped most of our water distribution valves and hydrants into our GIS software, and completed over 100 residential cross-connection inspections. And we also continue to look for residential lead service lines, and I'm pleased to report that we have not found any lead lines as of yet. These are our code enforcement statistics from July 1st through February 28th of 2025. Our code officer completed 650 inspections, started 241 new enforcements, closed 239 enforcements, and recovered over $7,700 in lost fees from applicants who were doing work without a permit. 2024-2025 also saw a lot of construction projects going on. The design engineering was awarded for North Avenue, Elm Street, and Chestnut. We awarded the 2024 sewer rehabilitation program, awarded the design engineering for Edgewater water main from Connolly to the bridge. We hired the general contractor for the Algonac Elementary School renovations, which will be the new Algonac Activity Center. Awarded the contract for the Algonac swimming pool at Lions Field. Approved the Garwoods Development Preliminary Site Plan, Conceptual Site Plan, elevations, and conditional rezoning agreement. Awarded the glass, HVAC, and demolition work for the Algonac Activity Center, and received a $150,000 grant for the new pathway at Lions Field. This graph shows the 2024 taxes. The main purpose is for everyone to be able to see that of all the taxes that are collected, city operating costs are only 27%. The rest of tax dollars go to schools, veterans, county roads, parks, libraries, and county, state, amongst other entities in St. Clair County. Now we're taking a look at 25-26, starting off with our general fund revenues. As you can see from your packet and this chart, the property taxes are up 4.55% from last year. Our state revenue sharing went up 2.3% from last year, and our city, village, township revenue sharing is up 4% from last year. We had in 2023-24, we had our first special assessment district, which was $130,000, and for 24-25, $147,200, which was a change of $17,200. The proposed annual per household cost for trash collection this year will be $215. Taking a look at personnel, we proposed for 25-26, we have 15 full-time employees and 22 part-time employees. We are planning to reopen the pool this summer, so we have budgeted for additional 5 part-time employees. Retiree health care is 100% funded in Algonac, unlike many cities. We do make an extra pension payment budgeted each year per Michigan law. This year, the budget includes a 3% wage rate increase, including for part-time fire personnel, which is new this year. The budget also includes new recruitment and retention incentives, like $500 bonus payments, longevity pay, and a 3% city contribution to the pension plan for part-time fire personnel. And as you know, we have an agreement for law enforcement services with the St. Clair County Sheriff that is in place for 3 years, that started October 1st of 2024. So projects planned for this year for 25-26 in major roads. So major roads is the money that we get from the state from motor fuel taxes. We are proposing the Smith Street pump replacement in the amount of $477,000. So the Smith Street stormwater pump station is made up of, well, I should start by saying that we have 3 pumps in the city. We have, one is owned by the city and one is owned by MDOT. Or I should say 2 are owned by the city and 1 is owned by MDOT. The one that we're talking about does not properly function and has been, it has 3 pumps in it, and one of those pumps does not properly function and has been taken completely out of service. During our recent stormwater sewer system asset management plan, we evaluated this pump station and used a scale from 1 to 5 to rank the probability of failure and the consequence of failure, with 1 being insignificant and 5 meaning catastrophic, and the probability of failure of this pump station was 4.7, consequence of failure was 4.0. Failure during significant precipitation would cause widespread surface flooding in the drainage area. So this is a very important project for us to move forward with.
If I could, is that something that we budgeted for this? And
Yes.
Yeah, because that's major. Thank you.
Next up for local roads. Local roads is revenue from the state from motor fuel taxes also. We have budgeted the North Avenue, the East east side, east portion, Elm Street and Chestnut pavement rehabilitation for $330,000, and to begin the engineering for North Avenue, the west side, design engineering for $37,000. Water projects this year that are proposed, we are continuing to identify lead water services with the DWAM and the TMF grant, budgeted $110,000, but that's all grant funded. The North Avenue West project that you just saw on local roads, that also needs a water main replacement. We need to replace the 4-inch water main with an 8-inch, so we're proposing to also do the engineering for that for $58,000. Edgewater from Conley to the north side of the bridge, they're proposing to install 475 lineal feet of new 8-inch water main from St. Clair River Drive to Rushton to hydrant 28 for $405,000. And we are required by the EPA to do a risk and resiliency assessment. This is required every 5 years per the Safe Drinking Water Act. We are required to assess our system to determine if we can handle any unexpected malicious acts or natural hazards and develop an emergency response plan just in case something happens. The water plant, we are budgeting $300,000 for membrane actuators and flow meters, $25,000 for ROV inspections. ROV stands for remotely operated vehicles. So these are unmanned robots used to conduct visual inspections on our water storage tanks. $125,000 is for the water plant audit and capital improvement plan adjustment. $45,000 for the SCADA and PLC upgrades. So SCADA is the supervisory control and data acquisition system. That's the software system used at the water plant. And the PLC is the programmable logic controller. That's the hardware device that controls the machines and processes. And $25,000 for the ground storage tank sensors. For the sanitary sewer, we're continuing with our sanitary sewer repairs to pump the pipes, manholes, siphons, and pump stations in priority areas for the SAW grant for $250,000, and adding in sanitary investigations and smoke testing for $228,000. The smoke testing, that involves injecting non-toxic smoke into a sewer system to identify leaks, improper connections, and areas where stormwater might be entering the system, revealing potential problems like inflow and infiltration. For the motor pool fund, we are recommending replacement of the grass unit with a diesel pickup with a skid unit assembly in the amount of $73,000. So the skid unit refers to a pre-assembled portable system often used in firefighting and industrial applications that allows for easy transport and deployment of equipment like pumps, tanks, and hoses. In our capital projects fund, $230,000 is proposed for the Lions Field pathway. So that's the pathway that will be around the perimeter of Lions Field. $150,000 of that, $230,000 is the grant that we received from the DNR. And the Algonac Elementary School Activity Center, we have $550,000 budgeted. $500,000 of that is the money that we're expecting to get through the school aid fund from the state, and then $50,000 is Algonac dollars. So things that we're looking at for goals for 25-26 for our city clerk's department is to uphold our record maintenance and resume converting the documents to all electronic files and organizing files to increase efficiency and easy retrieval. Relocating the stored files when activity center is complete. We're looking to consolidate the voting precincts 1 and 2 and move precinct location permanently to the new Algonac Activity Center. Once approved, the new voter ID cards will be mailed to all registered voters. And to continue training the utility building deputy clerk in election procedures and various clerk duties. The fire department plans to partner with local organizations like Rolling Brook and Algonquin Place to encourage fire safety, conduct fire safety drills, and promote awareness campaigns. They will be also looking to update the hydrant map and numbering system used in the GIS system. And they're looking to install 6-inch fixed standpipes mounted on vehicular bridges to improve access to water in case of fire. Public Works Department is planning to increase the city Christmas decor by decorating the gazebo this year and adding more blue lights to the riverfront park trees, to trim the city trees, and to repaint the skate park.
Excuse me, what about repainting that gazebo?
We can look at that.
Is this where I can ask a question or wait till after your,
Whenever you want.
because as far as the DPW, I'd like to add a fourth item, and that's like, maybe take a look at our current playgrounds, like the Lionsville playground, all the mulch needs to probably be laid, and that landscaping material needs to be cut, and those tree roots have to be, I don't know if you can cut them up, or cut them, or dig down and lay more landscaping material and then put mulch on top of it, but it's pretty bad over there.
Okay. Our Treasury Department for 25-26 will be switching to BSNA Cloud. The net version of BSA is slowly becoming obsolete, and BSA will no longer be adding new features. So this will be great for staff because we will no longer be able to have to remote in. We will be looking to fully implement BSNA miscellaneous receivables to improve organization and reduce the cost of office supplies. And we were looking to switch to the BSNA payment system, and we were able to accept a credit card for everything. This is also free compared to paying Invoice Cloud monthly, which is what we do now. So that'll be an awesome change. At the water plant, they are looking to uphold Eagle certification requirements and obtain higher license certification for all of the operators. We are looking to perform field verification of 1/3 of the distribution water main valves so that when there is a main break, the proper valves can be used to isolate the break and prevent further damage. And to shift the tracking of service orders to a GIS layer so all information is cloud-based and easily available to staff in the field. So this is part one of the budget fee schedule. As you can see, a lot of our permit fees have gone up by approximately $5 each. If there's any specific fees in there that you wanted to talk about. The ones I really wanted to talk about was some of the new ones. We put together some fees for the gym rental. These are for the activity center. So the proposed fee would be for the gym, would be for the first 90 minutes, the fee would be $100, and each 1 hour increment thereafter would be $25. Classroom rental for the first 3 hours would be $65. Each 1 hour increment thereafter would be $25. We were thinking we may have a walking group that would want to come in, and they would be charged an annual resident fee of $30 and a non-resident fee of $60. The thought was perhaps the gym would be open 7 days a week, perhaps from 5 a.m. to 8 p.m. We were looking to help that there would be open gym hosted by a local nonprofit. This would be drop-in sports for kids with no fees. We were hoping that perhaps, like Pastor High Street or some of these groups, that they would come in and they would actually host something on certain evenings, and kids could come in and play basketball for free. Event fees, we were planning on charging $25 for an event fee, and a library rental fee of $150. So the library rental fee, the monthly fee, is proposed for the piece-to-piece quilters. They are looking to permanently move into the library facility. And they are also looking to host events there, not just in their room. They're going to have different events, which we thought that would be every time they have an event in their room, it would be a $25 charge. They're also looking to have big events where they might rent the whole gym, and have sew-a-thons and different things. So
Wait, why would they have a $25 fee if they have an event in the room? They're running.
well, the thought was because they'll have a lot of people in there using lots of sewing machines for long periods of time.
Oh, for electricity?
Yeah, and we don't have any idea right now what our costs are going to be, electric-wise. We don't know what our internet costs are going to be. So we thought, this isn't like we were thinking, this isn't just because they're getting together and sewing. This is because they're hosting sewing classes.
Yeah.
that they would pay an additional $25 for the hosting of a sewing class.
Oh,
And that
makes
would be
sense.
something that they're charging people to take their sewing class, so each person would pay an extra dollar, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is our first go-round, we've not done this before, we tried to look at what other communities have done. But a lot of them are so different, some of them are only for seniors, some of them don't have gyms, some of them have swimming pools. Some of them charge membership fees, they have fitness gyms. So this was our first attempt at, some fees.
It's good.
And then library access fees, so, the idea is that all of the ladies, for example, that are part of the Piece to Piece quilters, they wanna have a key fob access. So residents would pay $30 a year and non-residents would pay $60, and they would have key fob access to their own library, their own rental space.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
we tried to look at what like Eddy Elementary was charging and what the Port Huron Business Incubator is charging. They're charging significantly more.
More than this?
Yeah, like $700 a month.
Wow.
Like significantly more.
This is your first go around, this is good.
This is what we're starting with, and we've had conversations with them to say, this is what we're starting with.
Right.
Next year, next year may be different. You know, so this is what we're proposing to start off with. The same thing with the swimming pool. We're proposing 4 and under, open swim admission is free, and 5 and over, open swim admission is $3.
Quick one, have we, or are we planning at some point to, sit down with, the superintendent or Advent School to see if they might be interested in some things with us at the activity center?
That is a great idea. We have not thought about doing that, but we could.
Only because Nikolai and I had to, when Amber was in Chesterfield, I was paying taxes because I could do it in Chesterfield. And they used to have on Saturdays, floor hockey, things like that in the gym on weekends. And that would be kind of cool.
Who ran it? Was it like a rec center?
Hmm?
Who ran the program, like a rec center?
Chesterfield Township, but it was at one of the elementary schools, I forget which one.
Okay.
And they did work with, Lance Cruz, I believe. Just, curious if, they wanna sit down and.
That's a good idea. I do talk to Alatos, pretty regularly. But we can definitely sit, maybe they will. I don't know if they would rather use their gyms, if.
Yeah.
I have no idea.
Oh, they might say no, but give it a shot.
Sure, and if there's any other nonprofit organizations that
Exactly.
you would know of that would be interested, like maybe Woodside would be interested in hosting a kids' basketball night.
Yeah. Yeah,
Something that we could get on a regular schedule, like every Tuesday is Woodside, for example, and then the kids know,
Right.
that that's where they can go.
yeah, and, like everybody says, there's nothing for kids to do, oh, we've got this here, and when they can't go swimming and play in the playground, that's, this is what they can do.
Absolutely.
Floor hockey, all that kind of stuff.
And it's a prudent way of doing it, because that way we don't have to hire staff to run these programs if we can get the local organizations, because we don't have the tax dollars to hire
Right.
more people. We get the local organizations to step up, if they want, to come up with a different, to take control of the community center one night a week.
I like to mess with kids,
You just find an organization to sponsor you.
Yeah.
Now you're right there.
So how does everybody feel about the $3 a person for open swim?
I think it's good.
I think that's
I think
good.
it's good.
Oh, I had someone ask me, do you plan on doing a family summer pass?
We were not planning on doing that this year because we're not sure yet when we're opening.
What?
We were, and well, there was also discussions as to what constitutes a family and how many people do you let in when they bring a family. Like this is my sister and these are her 2 kids, so do I get to bring in 15 people on a family pass?
Yeah.
So, that's why we just started off really simple,
Okay.
see what would happen. It's all can be changed, right?
Absolutely, it's a great start.
It is.
It's a great start.
It
Your
is.
fees- Your fees all around look great.
Very good.
And
Yeah, I
for-
like these.
For you and the staff, you all are having to come up with new things that we've never done before. I mean, we did the pool before, but the activity center, and it's all new, and you're
Right, we're all trying, but
Yeah,
I
I
see what
mean,
happens.
Absolutely.
And for the activity center, even for like winter time, that's a fair price if you rent it out for Friday to do like a fundraiser, a beer and wine festival, or country, you know? So I think it's very fair.
well, and I was even thinking, I told somebody once, you know, if there's a bunch of guys that wanna, you know, get together once a week, you know, once or, and, you know, play basketball. Watch adult, you know, these kinds of things that, you know, so this is not just for kids, you know, everybody can do this. And again, this is the only one around here, except for what, Washington Life Center, that's it. And this is a big deal.
So question, is alcohol allowed in the activity center itself?
No,
Okay.
That could go up.
And the next question, the walking group starts at 5 AM to 8, who would open and close that?
DPW. And that, maybe people don't, I mean, we just threw that out there.
No, that's fine, just, you know, like, I mean, that would be great to offer it, just that we're gonna need somebody to come in,
Right,
open it and then close it.
right. At this time, we are not planning on we're not hiring any staff. We're gonna have to make do with what we have.
But the facility is gonna be well cameraed, correct?
Yes, yes, you just approved the security system recently, so there's gonna be cameras everywhere. There's gonna be key fob access, so we'll be able to, you know, if you use your key fob, we'll know that you came in at such and such a time.
So then the individual opening and closing, they don't have to stay or hang out, cause now you're looking at wages, overtime wages, you know, 7 days a week. You know, depending on how long it takes to open or close, so. Okay.
Cause really, if you have a key fob, it doesn't need to be opened and closed, right? You just say that you wanna walk and you wanna go at 5:30. And you let yourself in and we'd see that you came in and, right?
Yeah, it's like the key fob we have at the gym.
Yeah, I think anytime he has, right, the 24-hour key fob.
Yeah.
It's not gonna be 24 hours, but,
Make the alarm system start at 8:30. Warning, the alarm system will be activated.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
you know, we have an alarm system going in, so.
that's the last slide I have for budget presentation, so questions you have, everybody got a printout of the actual, departmental budgets.
There's a couple things. The smoke testing. That's a new one. 'Cause I know that we had, discussed the, was it 250 that we've been doing for work? So, that's a really good thing, that's gonna put a major dent in figuring out what's what and who's who, with what we gotta get done. And I
Yes.
know, we hadn't talked about that before, it's always been, you know, we're gonna do the lining work and all of that for X of, what, 250 or something like that, every year. So to see that extra amount of money go towards that, you know, we all know how I feel about that, and that makes the other guys happy. And just so, everybody, when I was looking at the, for the wastewater treatment plant and what we pay, annually, and it's going up to 90.
Mhm.
And that is because of what we're paying IRA for the space, correct?
No,
No, it's not.
no, we're paying $16,000 because that's what we're paying IRA for, because we are over capacity.
Right.
The increase to the 90,000 is because we have a lot of capital projects that need to be
Okay.
done, and that's the equipment replacement fund.
So that's all going into the
Yes,
capital improvements.
yes,
Right.
yes.
Great, excellent. That's
Um,
what I had.
Mine are very simple, painting a skate park. What colors?
What color do you want it?
I like the graffiti on it,
Oh, I think it's trashy.
and, well, that's just cause it's
Well,
worn out. But,
My kid helped you, so.
I like, giving young people the opportunity to express themselves in an artful way. So if that's a possibility, that'd be nice, but, I was at the gazebo this, last weekend, and, yeah, it needs some work.
Okay. And we did paint it probably 5 years ago now, so yeah, was it 5?
A lighter color would be nice, is that?
Can I just, because you mentioned the skate park? That would be something really cool, if you get somebody who's got some kind of thing going at the activity center with kids. To have that be a thing, where, you know, a group of kids or whatever, whoever decides to do something at the activity center, you know, this week we're gonna work on having kids help, you know, after you get a coat of paint on there or something,
I
you
guess-
know, have kids go and help with that, would be cool.
Yeah, but it still doesn't change the fact that DPW's gotta get that good base coat on there.
Yeah.
So,
All I know is
Once
I'm
they get
not
the good
helping
base
the
coat-
skate park.
once they get some good base coat on there, then if
Baby
somebody
design.
steps up to, we have time now.
When we did, well, last time we did it, the kids, cause I had gotten all the paint and stuff from Lumberjack, the kids put the base coat on and then came back and did all the artwork on it.
Yeah,
Look
he
good
sucked
when
me
they
in
did
to
it.
be
Sometimes
there.
it's
Was he there? No, he
I
was
was on
not.
both.
He was not scraping paint, he was doing nothing, sucking
It
me
looks
into
good
it.
at first,
Yeah.
but
It's
now
been,
it's looking
it's
rough.
worn out, it's been
Yeah.
5, 6, 7
Yeah.
years. you
That
know?
thing
Yeah.
needs some work.
So-
There was a young woman, who lives in the city, and she was over there doing some work on her own. I mean, she was over there with some tools, working on some of those frames, which was incredibly impressive. So yeah, there's some work that's gotta be done over there. That's all.
I think Wendy's got.
Yeah, I just have a few questions. Mine are really about, the breakdown of your allocations, I guess. I don't see like where does building get paid out of? Like the building official, I don't see like a 249, is everything go into the 101?
So, building is 101,370. So building inspection department is 101,371, and then if you go under, contracted services, electrical, mechanical, plumbing, and building, those are all the inspectors.
Okay.
Cause they're 1099 contractors, we don't actually pay them a paycheck.
And so I also noticed in the building inspection department, pension, that there's a pension defined benefit as well as pension additional and then pension DC. So do we have any full-time employees in the building department?
Well, Eva would be part of the building, and then Lori is part-time, she's not full-time.
Right, so she doesn't get benefits, right?
Not Lori, but part of Eva's pay does come out of there.
And same thing in Department 441, Department of Public Works. On salary and wages line, I only see 47,500. So is other employees paid out of what department?
So DPW, some of their wages are paid out of the 441, but theirs are broken up between library,
Right, they're
parks,
everywhere, yeah.
everything. So we have to budget, but most of their, things are split, so then that's part of theirs. So that would be Vernier, Nadowski, and Collin.
And the other question I have is regarding our police, our contract with the sheriff. So you said we have a 3-year contract, correct? We already signed our first year, so we're looking at budget in 2025-26, 956,400 for a 3-year contract.
It's 1 year, I think.
Yeah, that's just one year. I have it. Yeah, so 24-25, their contract was 938,082. 25-26 is 962,510.
And so tell me with our contract, like in our community, we only have one sheriff that works one 24-hour period and then another one come in. And, you know, we of course don't pay as much. Is it because we have a substation here? I mean, how many officers do we have on a 24-hour period?
1.5, don't we?
So,
We have a.
so you don't have 2 in the morning, like 2 that works the first shift and 2 that work the second shift?
It's my understanding we have one that comes in 6A to 6P,
6A to 6P?
and then the afternoon man comes in 6P to midnight. Is that not correct?
But then you have somebody come in at 6
Right.
to 6 AM.
So we have guy and a half.
A guy and a half.
Mm-hmm.
So
Two
for a
and a half.
guy and, so,
Two
2
and a half.
guys, that's what I thought.
We have
So
Two and a half.
2.5 guys. We have 2.5 guys. 2.5.
No, we have 1.5, right?
You have 6 AM to 6 PM.
Right.
Then you have 6 PM to 6 AM. Then you have me that comes in at 6 AM, or 6 PM, well, around 6 to midnight.
So 2.5.
So you have a half.
2.5. So is that because it's something that we've always done? Yes, right, something that we've always done.
Since we contracted with the sheriff,
This is
is
sheriff.
my understanding, right, Denise?
I believe so, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
you were here prior.
Yeah.
So you would know.
I mean,
we did
compared to
that.
That's how we set it up when we first did it, way back in the day.
So compared to
So
other
that-
communities that also contract with the sheriff department, they don't have 2.5 men,
Right.
and they're probably bigger than what we are. Do we feel that having such a large contract, I mean, I'm just asking questions because I don't know, to have, the large contract that we do with 2.5 men on call?
We have
Well-
dedicated men, they don't leave the city
And
unless it's
I-
mutual aid. They
and-
stay.
Isn't, if I'm not mistaken, when we sit down and we figure out this contract, we figure in, manpower and everything else for events,
Special events,
for events,
Special
and that's,
Cars, gas.
yeah,
Yes.
we have a lot of events that we have to figure in.
Yeah.
That, I mean, and that's not even including the new ones that we've been
Right.
getting, that's just the ones that have been here consistently. And that's all figured in with
So
that
we
contract.
take a look at our events, so that's like our Music in the Park events that we have in the summer, that would be our pickleball tournament that we have. And so we
Right.
art
have,
fair, you know, gonna have.
Halloween into that.
Halloween into that.
Yeah, all that.
Beer and wine.
And I, thi-
That's cars, gas.
and they do send extra cars down for parades and things like that.
Oh, yeah.
and those extra cars we're not charged for because it's part of the contract.
That's right.
Yes.
And, but we do have Clay Township that if needed, they can
It's
support the
mutual
shift.
aid.
Right,
Yeah.
Well,
okay.
mutual aid is fine.
Mhm.
But I love our independence. I know what you're trying to say, and anytime you can save money, it's a good thing. However, especially with today, the way society is today, I don't think you can have enough police. Don't forget, when you're looking at the cost, we're saving money on things like retirements. When we had our own police department, we had to worry about providing the pensions forever, and that's really what caused us way back when to decide to go with the sheriff. They do an excellent job, and absolutely, I agree. Anytime you can save money, fine. Not sure that's the area.
Well, I'm just, again, it's just questions.
Yeah,
I don't-
and
I know
absolutely, and I
there's
respect
other
that, and I
services.
respect that.
There's,
Totally.
I mean, have you ever looked at, Michigan State Police contracting, what their contract, what kind of coverage they would offer us? You know, if we have a substation, we can offer it to really anyone, any, law enforcement. It's just a question.
Oh, we have never looked at asking Michigan State Police to provide police services. Kathy, do you?
No, okay.
The best for our buck was when we went with the sheriff all those years ago.
Okay.
Did I want to at first? No, because I was losing something that I was a part of, I worked there. But it has worked out well.
Yes.
The discipline isn't here. We have dedicated cars. Our unit right now outside says Sheriff's Department Elginak unit. So it stays in this town, and is it important for us to I don't think we can afford to not have the knowledge that if we pick up the phone, there's gonna be a cop there when we need one, not have to wait till they come from freelancing in the county somewhere.
Now, is
So-
there, so remember back in the days, they were able to come to the door, ring the bell, and talk to a live person, is that still available?
Yeah, I don't see why not.
You mean come over here?
To the sheriff?
Oh, yeah,
Okay.
yeah, they do all the time.
Oh.
I can
I was
hear
just gonna
that.
say,
You know, I
Thank
can-
you guys.
And they come next door asking,
Right.
for the
Yes.
sheriff.
Okay, that's
Um,
all, it's
So
just. you-
I can like go up there and buzz something, just, no, sorry, I didn't see.
Well, and just for council's sake and the public's sake, you have to be, our sheriff is not a partisan position, in so much as, you get in Michigan State Police, and depending on who is in charge at that time, they may have different agendas that they would force down our throat. Same thing if you went with another local community, if they have an election,
Yes.
and all of a sudden everything changes, your relationship with that community may change, as we've kind of seen. Doesn't mean for the worse, could mean for the better, but it changes. Us having a sheriff the way we do, and we've changed sheriffs, just in the time I've been here. Nothing changed with their service, it continues the same. And to me, that is very, very important. It gives stability to our residents, it gives stability to us. Many of the people know our sheriffs and the force, and they're happy with it. I've never had a complaint, well, I've had one complaint.
Wasn't me.
And it wasn't Dawn,
Wasn't me.
but, in all this time that I've been on council, regarding the sheriff, so it's worked well, and just my
I
opinion.
appreciate that, no, I like that.
And I
Thank you.
respect
Thank
where
you.
you're coming from, cause it's a good question to ask, and
I
I'm
mean,
glad you
with
did.
what we're here, we're looking at a budget.
Yeah,
These
absolutely.
are my- These
I
are our
just-
residents' taxpayer dollars.
Right, and I
Absolutely.
just wanna throw it there, I know last year during the pickerel turn, their kids are teenagers who know the deputies
Mhm.
that were innocent. And who will have no issue going up to that deputy that they know to say, look, I've got, there's, this kid over here who's causing trouble. And that's a thing.
Right, what's
It is,
relationship?
yeah.
That's
It's a good question.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
do think.
I get where you're coming from, and I think it's good, it's relationship building, but here, we need them, totally understand. Again, it was a question of looking at
Oh,
the budget.
no, and it's
It's
good, this is
good.
a
Wait a
good
minute, I'm
thing.
not done yet.
Okay then.
I didn't think about that. So when I'm going over again, I'm gonna look at the clerk's budget. I see there's, so first let's, wages, multi-deputy clerk secretary. And then there's wages, deputy clerk education training. So I see that looks like there's the wages, so who's that? Is that our clerk, is that our deputy? It's in the 215-706-08 for 2,500. We have a salary, we have broken down to,
Wait, you're in elections or clerk?
I'm in clerk, I'm in the 215.
Okay, and the 706, that would be Lisa's wages.
Okay, yeah, Lisa's at the clerk is, wages are at the top. And the 706-08,
That is Eva's, so she works in utility building, and she's the deputy clerk. So depending on what she does during the day, if there's an election going on, if she's doing election work, her wages come out of out of clerk.
okay,
But if she is working in building, then her wages come out of building, and then if she's working in utility billing, her wages come out of finding.
okay, so we got that at 20, then if I look at Department 262, which is your election department, I see a stipend for the deputy clerk elections, 3,900.
Yes.
So,
That was
you're-
agreed on when that, position came available, that she would get a stipend, it's like $62.50 a week.
right, I think that would be an old rate, right? Because there's a new rate coming this year, for 25.
The stipend doesn't change, no. The stipend was not being changed.
The stipend's not changing.
Yeah.
And we chose to do a stipend over just, a resolution. Because when you get a stipend, that stays
forever regardless if there's an election or no election. So there'll be years where there'll be no election and they still receive a stipend for the election, but there's no election to be held. Like if you did a resolution, the resolution would stipulate, you know, election year, so-and-so, you have February, August, and November, but
Because it's not just elections.
the stipend's not just for the elections?
She has a stipend for elections, but she also has backup for clerk. so
She is
she's
the
doing
deputy
both.
clerk, so that stipend is the deputy clerk.
Okay. Let's see if I have it. So when I look at a breakdown, the allocations, like in payroll, is there a way I can get a breakdown of like, not necessarily your DPW, because I'm familiar with that, they're paid out of so many different funds, it's hard to track, because you gotta keep track. But like, cause when you look at it, it looks like a lot of it goes into your 101. Like, we just came off of a training, government funding, and that's where a lot of people are going with, is just having everything kind of dumped into the 101. And like, the departments are, like you said, paid everywhere. Is there, do you keep track in payroll, like the allocation of, like, for instance, my 100% is spread amongst other departments, but I see that percentage. Is there a way I can see the percentage of how employees are allocated for each fund?
So there's only EVA and then the DPW that gets split between multiple funds. But you're asking for like a report that shows their percentage of that?
Yeah, so let's just use the AP, clerk. She just does AP completely, and that just comes right out of the finance, right?
Correct.
Okay, that would come out of, I'm looking at fire. That's just right out of the 191,706, right?
Yes.
All her wages. And does that individual only does AP? There's no payroll involved, she does?
She does payroll.
She does. Is part of her pay then allocated to the payroll functions?
All of her pages comes out of finance.
Alright. Okay, now I just have one more, and we'll make her sweet. So it's under, it's a couple, sorry about that. So, interest, let me find it. I can't find it. It just looks like there is an interest line item that we budgeted 20,000, but it looks like we made 2 amendments for 83,000. And so this budget year, we're only budgeting for 20,000 for the interest. I'll find it later, Alicia, and we can talk about it. I just
With
wanted-
interest it's hard because you never know what interest rates are going to be, so I can't just assume that we're gonna stay high, that we are high when
We're
the
not.
reserve can say,
Okay.
no. So that's why I was trying to still budget low, even though we might get way more than that.
Okay.
Is that what?
It's just because when we budget, then we go over budget because we're amending it because it was more than expected. And I can't really find it, now that I had it highlighted. And the other one is, looks like in the past, under council, education, professional development was like 500, 1,000, and I think in 25, 26, we're only budgeting for 500.
Denise changed does council. Probably went down just because no one has ever actually used it.
Well, I would like the request to go up, because I'll be using it.
Okay.
I would like to take more classes.
Okay.
I like to see that increase a little bit. There it is, there. Education and training in the 101,960. Oh, it says you have it budgeted for 750. It was 550, 750, so if we could just increase that some.
Okay.
Okay. I think that's good for right now, that's great.
Apologize for so many questions.
No,
but-
no.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
I mean,
And then I just have one thing too, which I know we talked about, but, and I know there's a lot of work that goes into it. But I would like to see for the city of Algonac to get the lights going over the road. I know it involves NDOT and everything else, but another thing I wanna get added to for 2025, 2026 would be the nice planters that would hang off of the lights on the street, kinda like Marine City has. That's the only thing I would like to see added. Yeah, it'd be, so for the lights to go over the street as of, and this is not involving, Michigan rates and stuff with NDOT, but it'd be about $5-6 grand for all the hardware to go over and the lights to go over. And then obviously flowers will change depending on season, but,
You're talking about lights
yeah, so
Yeah,
it would
street
go-
across the,
yeah.
across the street.
across the
And-
street?
It might be something that can't happen because of MDOT, I don't know how it works, and that's
Right.
something.
Well,
staff
we're
will
hearing
look
how
into.
how they.
They
have
go
it.
from building to building.
Oh,
We still have the same buildings, I know at one
Yeah.
time. we were-
Yeah, you're right.
High Michigan Highway, so.
Yeah, so it might have challenges, but if it's possible, I would like to get it added.
Oh,
yeah, I think that's a
But-
good idea.
We're looking at, realistically, if we took them down for winter time, we could probably get 2 or 3 years out of them, because these are the commercial ones, and they change for the season, so Christmas time, we could change them to match any kind of season or theme.
Mayor Gillis,
Yes.
Councilman Scarbic, we have 25,000 budgeted for both of those for the next budget year.
Okay.
Because we were looking into the cost and we were looking into it with MDOT. We found out we can't get a permit from MDOT. We're not sure if DTE will let us put them on the pole.
Okay,
So we're looking into it, but we don't have any good costs yet.
that's fair. Thank you.
Will we have another follow-up workshop after this one? I know, this is it.
Mrs. Gerstenberg?
Sorry.
Thank you, Mayor Gillis. Councilwoman Meldrum, we have a, water and sewer budget study session on May 6th. And then, those are your those are your study sessions. But you can ask me any questions, you can,
So we won't,
contact Alicia.
so we're not gonna revisit
No.
questions and concerns?
And then, well, we're not having another session
Okay.
like this, but if you have any
Or we
questions, you can
reach
contact
out
us.
directly to
Yeah.
you or
mhm.
to Alicia. Okay.
Anyone else? Does anybody have anything for council comments on the budget study session?
Good job, Alicia.
Good. Nice job, Alicia, Denise, thank you. Can I get a motion to adjourn the budget study?
I'll make the motion to adjourn budget study at,
Aye.
5:55. Oh, no time.
You can say time. We're adjourned.